Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, Bava Metzia, DAF Samach. We are holding at the Mishnah on the very last line of Nun Testament base. Says the Mishnah, Ein ma'arvin peiros bepeiros. A farmer committed to sell a certain crop from a certain field to his customer. He should not be mixing up crops from different fields. Ein ma'arvin peiros bepeiros. He promised field A, give him from this field. Don't mix in a crop from field B, which is a slightly different type, different quality. Filu chadashim b'chadashim. Even if both crops are relatively fresh, so there isn't much of disparity in terms of freshness and moisture, but nevertheless, you're meant to give him as promised. And needless to say, if you're going to mix chadashim, fresh grain, b'yeshanim, with older, more drier grain, which you promised to sell him. And Rashi explains the Yeshanim are actually superior in terms of, grinding them into flour. They grind better. So he asked for Yeshanim. You shouldn't be mixing Chadashim b'Yeshanim. Be'emes Amru. Now there's a clear-cut, undisputed halacha that when it comes to wine, b'yayin, hitir la'arev kasha barach. If you sell him some wine, you can mix a bit of kasha, strong wine, barach, into softer, weaker wine. Why? Because the stronger wine improves the quality. It makes for a good blend in the other wine. But in the reverse, it wouldn't be allowed. You wouldn't mix rach into kasha because you're weakening the kasha, and that's not as promised. You shouldn't be mixing shemarim, lees, residue, wine residue into the wine. You shouldn't be giving that to the customer as part of the purchase. But you can give him his personal shemarim, and of course we see a contradiction in the Mishnah. Do you or don't you give the shemarim? The Gemara will deal with that. Furthermore, if some water fell into your wine, you shouldn't sell it in your store, because you're misleading the customer. It has water content. It's not fair. Unless he notifies him in advance. Look, it's 20% wine, then it's okay. That's only because he's selling directly to the customer and he can inform him. But you shouldn't be selling it to a merchant who's going to turn around and sell it to his customer, because then you never know. Right? Even though you inform the merchant, you never know if it's going to be passed on to the customer. Chances are he's just going to mislead his customer, and he's going to end up buying wine with a water content without knowing. But if in this place it is common practice to blend some water into the wine, then it's perfectly okay. Hatagar, if we have a wholesaler who's selling his wheat, we all know that he sources from various places, right? Noitel mehe gronois, he can take from 5 different granaries, and store it into his one single warehouse. Likewise, mehe gitois, he can purchase from 5 different wine presses, and place it into one vat, because all know that he sources from many suppliers. Provided that he's not intentionally trying to mislead his customers by pretending to be selling higher quality and mixing in some inferior quality on the side. This is back to the beginning of the Mishnah. You shouldn't be mixing different types of crops. And the Mishnah says that even if they're both fresh, don't mix them. Certainly if one is fresh and one is older, because as Rashi explained, the older one is actually superior in a sense because it's easier to grind, it produces more flour. So the Gemara now will elaborate on that. It goes without saying, right? The halacha that you cannot mix chadashim b'yeshanim, certainly it applies in a case where chadashim ma'arba, when the fresher wheat is more expensive. It's cheaper, ma'arba means it's cheaper because it's going 4 pounds per $1, right? For a sela. So it's cheaper. V'yishanis mishalish, in contrast to the older, drier wheat, which is more expensive. It goes for 3 per dollar. So certainly the ein ma'arvin, you can't mix the newer one with the older one because you're downgrading in terms of value. Ela afilu, but here's the chiddush, even if the fresher wheat is more expensive, you still cannot mix it into the older wheat, which is cheaper. Ela afilu chadash is mishchalish. The newer one sells for 3 per dollar. V'yishanis ma'arvin, the older one's 4 per sela. Ein ma'arvin, you can't mix the newer one into the older one, despite the fact that it appears like you're actually benefiting the customer. You're giving him better, more expensive material. The answer is no. You know why chadashes go for higher? Not because they're better in quality. Because at times a person specifically wants to purchase fresh produce so that he can, store it away for a long term. So that's the reason why he'll pay more, but not necessarily because inherently it's higher quality. So despite the fact that it costs more, it doesn't mean higher quality, and it doesn't justify mixing it into the older one, which this fellow wants, and he purchased. The emes amru. So the halacha is like this: B'yayin itiru la'arev kasha barach. So when it comes to wine, you can blend the kasha into the rach, and the Mishnah provides a clear-cut reason because actually it benefits. The blend is better than unblended. Amar b'lazar ada amra. The fact that the Mishnah uses the term be'emes amru and then follows with a clear-cut reason to the halacha, that indicates to us, kol be'emes amru. Whenever the phrase be'emes amru is employed, halachi, it's an absolute, undisputed halacha, and that's what the Mishnah is trying to say here. Look, it's a very simple, rational reason why this blend is allowed, because actually it improves the quality. And the Mishnah uses the words be'emes amru to present the halacha, indicating to us that be'emes amru is associated with presenting a clear-cut, undisputed halacha. Amar Rabban Gamliel, you should know this allowance to blend different types of wines is specific to the wine pressing season, when the wine is still fresh and it blends well. Ubein agita yishanu, in between the wine presses, meaning as the press season is ongoing, you can blend different types. But later on, once the wine sort of settles and gets into its track and develops its own unique flavor and aroma, going and blending just ruins it. But nowadays, when we find that blends are made even outside the season, why? Because customers are aware of that and they're okay. They don't care. The reason why it's permitted is as follows. Hamani Rabbi Achahi. It's going like Rabbi Acha, the Sanya. Rabbi Acha Mata b'davar nitam. Rabbi Acha says, look, when it's something that you can discern, right? It's a flavor thing that you can just, and they would taste that wine before they purchase it. So you know what's going on, right? And you can tell that there was a blend, that this thing was a mix, was a blend. So if he's okay with it, then that's fine. So therefore we allow it nowadays, since the customer can discern. Ve'in ma'arvin shimmer yain b'yain, aval mesnei shmarav. So you don't give him the shmarim, but you could give it. Va'amris reisha im ma'arvin klal, you just told me you shouldn't mix it in to his wine. V'chitei ma'mai nosnei shmarav, the kamoidale. So perhaps what the Mishnah means like this: you can't mix it in unknowingly, but if you inform him, then you can do it. The kamoidale. Really? Hamniktani is safer. But take a look at the next part of the Mishnah, which speaks about mixing some water into the wine. It says, if your wine has water content, don't sell it to your customers at your store unless you inform them beforehand. And you shouldn't sell it to a merchant regardless, even though he informs it, because he might end up selling it blindly to a customer. So bottom line, so in this part of the Mishnah, we speak about informing customers. Apparently, the previous halacha, which speaks about mixing the shemarim, is speaking afagav d'leimoidel, even though he didn't inform him. He's unaware of it. So, why is it allowed? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, Amar means like this: Ein ma'arvin shemarim shal emesh b'shal yer. Yeah, sure, you can mix the wine residue into the wine. It's part of the product, provided the shmarim originated from this wine. You can't mix shmarim from a different wine into this wine, because then you're just going to ruin it. And that's what the Mishnah means to say, drawing the line between its own shmarim versus the other wine's shmarim being mixed into this one. That you can't do. You can't take yesterday's shmarim, yesterday's wine, mix it into today's wine. Or today's wine into yesterday's. But you can certainly insert this wine's shmarim into this wine. We find the same in a brayso, this distinction. If a person gently, pours some wine for his customer, and he wants to put the shmarim in there as well, he can't mix up different types of shmarims. But if it's shmarim from this wine, then you can mix it back in. Now, if wine ended up in his water, got mixed into his wine, be careful. So there's a story involving Rava. They brought him some wine from the store. Mazge, so he diluted it. Rava would dilute his wine very, very much. He would put 3 parts water, right? It was 3/4 water and 1/4 wine. So he mixed it up and he took a drink. He tasted it. He didn't like the taste. Shadri l'chanusa, so he sent it back to the store for a refund. Abai asked him, what do you mean? It's too late. There was water in there. The Mishnah says you can't give it back to the merchant because he might turn around and sell it with the water content. The Rabbi says not to worry. In my case, it's so diluted, so watery, even a non-discerning customer will detect it. My mix made the idea is very clear and discernible. Perhaps they're still concerned because the toffee, maybe the merchant, when he gets back this watery wine, he'll just add a little bit more wine to make it more wine, more wine content, and mix it up, and sell it like that with the water content. You know what? If you could be concerned about that, there's no end to it. I mean, then you shouldn't be selling water at all, because maybe he'll take that water mix. If you're giving him something which is a ready-made product that can mislead a customer, then you have an issue. But if it involves the merchant's input afterwards to go and tweak it and fix, I'm not concerned about that. There's no isra of lifnei iver l'sita michshel. Don't cause a blind man to stumble, which is a term used to teaching us to avoid misleading people and fooling people. So in this case, the product, the actual product that Rava returned to the store cannot pose any pitfalls, and therefore there's no concern. Tana, we learned in the brayso. In some places they put a half water. Some places it's a third water, a quarter water. So basically you follow the minhag hamakim. That's what you sell. Like we said before, this blend is only allowed during the pressing season when things are still fresh and dilutable. Otherwise, things have settled in place. You shouldn't be mixing wine at that late stage. Okay, bottom line, integrity in business, right? Product is a product. No fooling, no misleading, no diluting. Says the Mishnah, okay, the Mishnah will present more halachas regarding fairness in business. Here comes a chiddush from Rabbi Yehuda. So you have grocers competing with each other, right? So a grocer should not be handing out sweets to the kids, to the children of his customers. That's unfair to his fellow grocer. Sweet, roasted grains, or nuts. That was their concept of nash. Is to youngsters who come shop in his store. Why? Because he's attracted into his store, which is unfair. It needs to be, a level playing field for all merchants. That's his shita. They say no, it's okay. Look, it's his prerogative. The other store can offer, candy bars, chocolate, bars. Likewise, says Rabbi Yehuda, a merchant cannot lower his prices below market, below the accepted, because once again he's attracting customers, away from the other stores. No. If anything, give him a blessing. Zachal HaToiv. He'll be remembered for his good deeds, for lowering the prices in the market. Lo Yavars HaGrisin. The Rabbi Shaul says, when you're selling beans, you shouldn't be picking out the skins, which actually, improves its quality somewhat, but that will facilitate a much higher price, disproportionate to the improvement derived from, cleaning the grisim. So basically it's unfair because you're going to hike it much higher than you should. According to the Chacham, it's fine because you've increased the value, it's cleaner, it's nicer, and it's fine and fair to charge more. But all agree you shouldn't be misleading the customers. He shouldn't be cleaning the top of his, of his basket, of his container, leaving the bottom, because in that case you're just doing a superficial sweep, and that misleads your customers, right? Putting the nice bananas on top and the rotten ones on bottom. He's just misleading his customers. Likewise, a person should not do a superficial cleanup job and improve the appearance of a slave that he's selling, or behemoth that he's selling, or any sort of tools or kalim, in a way that's masking its real value, because once again that allows him to overcharge. Why did Rabban allow a grocer to hand out sweets to his customers? Because look, one grocer could tell the other one, just like I'm handing out nuts, you hand out prunes. It's a fair deal. Nor should he lower the prices from the accepted market value. Why do Rabbanan commend his behavior? Just the opposite. It's great. He's forcing a downward trend, a downward pressure on the prices. Going to Rabbi Shaul, you should not be cleaning out the beans, because that will allow him to really hike the price significantly. Did Rabbi Shaul chamatir, and they allow it. Why? Man chacham. Who's a chacham? Rabbi Acha. That's Rabbi Acha's shita. The Sani, who says like this: when things are clearly visible and evident, there's nothing hidden here. Look, it's clean beans. You want to pay X amount, gesundheit, right? So it's not being dishonest. Rabbi Acha matir b'davar nira. Just like before, Rabbi Acha says when it's something that's when you can discern the flavor and determine whether it's good for you. So there's no issue of misleading here as well. When it's something visible and clear, look, it's his prerogative. He wants to pay more and he thinks it's worthwhile. It's his decision. One shouldn't puff up the animal's hair to make it look more, look healthier and better. Nor when he sells meat or the innards of the animal, the kishke, shouldn't be blowing it up to make it look more substantial. Nor should they soak meat in water, which makes it heavier and look inflated and higher quality. What does misharvatin mean? In Bava they taught, how do we do that? Maya de chizra, you give the animal to drink. Maya de chizra, which Rashi says is mei subin, some sort of flowery water, and he drinks that, and that sort of makes him look more plump and gets his hair raised, etc. Ziri Amar of Kahana, mas kafta, means taking a sort of a comb or brush and fluffing up his hair. Shmuel shara lemirmit tumi, the sarbala. Shmuel allowed a fellow selling a sarbala coat to add some nice stitching on it, some silk stitching to enhance its appearance and allow him to charge more, because that's an inherent feature. That's actually an improvement in the actual thing. Rabbi Yehuda, likewise, shara lekaskusi karmi, allowed them to rub and shine these colored materials using meisubin, this flowery water, once again because starching it makes it actually look better and it's worth the extra. Rabba shara lemeidak sardi. In a similar fashion, Rabba allowed the sardi materials, Rashi says, called bigdei kanbus, some sort of material, to be smoothed out with wooden, some sort of wooden tools to make it look stiffer and smoother. and Rashi says to make the threads look thin and clean. Rava shari litzlumi giri. Rava allowed them to draw some images of arrows, I guess, on garments. Rav Papa bar Shmuel shari litzlumi dekuli allowed them to draw some images of palm branch baskets, basically, to enhance the items that they were selling by adding these ornamental features, and that was okay. What do you mean, says the Gemara? And now Mishnah we learn we're not meant to do these superficial enhancements which generate a higher price. Right? Well, the answer is like this. Is it really improving it, or is it just misleading the customer? Is it masking some sort of, blemish? Like Kashi. If it's a brand new item, then it's a fair deal. Go enhance it, improve it, and sell it. But if it's an old, used item, and you're just trying to cover up for its oldness and its its wear by covering it with some polishing it a bit and doing that to mislead the customer into thinking that it's nicer than it really is, that's unfair. Let's have an example of enhancing a person's appearance in a way which is illegal. Right? So let's say it's a slave and you're enhancing his appearance in a way which is not, which is lacking in integrity. What's that? For instance, there was a story of an Eved, Saba, an old slave, a Goysha slave. So in order to look young and fresh, he dyed the hair on his head and his beard from white to black. He approaches Rava to offer himself for sale. Amar le Zivnan. He says, no, you want to buy me? Amar le, he says, no, I prefer Jewish slaves, Jewish servants. As the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, rather than buying a Goysha slave, I'll use some Yiddish helpers, poor people who need the money to support Yidden. Okay, so he turned down the deal. The next customer he approached was Rav Papa bar Shmuel Zavne. In fact, he purchased the Eved, thinking he was a young Superman Eved. One day, so the boss asked the Eved to serve him some water. So the Eved went quickly and removed his dye. And now, Chavri, it's all white again. So he turns to his boss and he says, you gotta have respect for your elders. Chazi, take a look. I'm older than your father. I have no business serving you. You should serve me. So Rav Papa now got wind of what happened. Koren Afshei applied to himself the pasuk tzaddik. The tzaddik Rava avoided this pitfall, right? When he refused to buy the Eved mitzar nechlatz. Hashem spared him this tzara of v'yavi achar tachtav, but Nebuch, I'm an unfortunate person that came in his place. And now I have him stuck with this, Eved with an attitude. Hadron l'chazav. Says the Mishnah, Ezeu neshech v'zeu tarbis. So we all know that one is not allowed to lend with interest. Now the Torah uses two phrases to describe this type of transaction. Neshech and tarbis. As the pasuk reads, "As kaspacha loisitim le beneshech." Don't offer your money with a neshech arrangement, which will get you more than you gave, right? Ubemarbis loisitim achlecha. And likewise, when it comes to food items, you shouldn't be making an arrangement where you get more than you lent. So, what constitutes neshech, which Rashi says is outright interest, which is also min haTorah. You lend them $1 and you get back, $1.20. Ve'zeu tarbis. What constitutes tarbis? Which Rashi says is a reference to ribis d'Rabbanan, rabbinic ribis. Why is it ribis d'Rabbanan? It's derech mekach or memka, by way of a transaction type of arrangement. It's not an outright loan. It's some sort of transaction which will end up netting you more than you deserve, and is an issue of ribis. Okay, ezo neshech. What's the standard, classic neshech ribis type of situation? Hamalva sela be'dinarin. He lent him a sela, which is comprised of 4 dinarim, 4 quarters, on condition that he repays him 5. That's an outright ribis. So saim chitin b'shalish. So he lent him 2 measures of chitim, and he's getting back 3. Aser, these are aser neshu noishech, because he's biting him, so to speak, because he's forcing him to pay more than he got. Ve'zeu tarbis. What constitutes tarbis, which Rashi explained, is a sort of ribis arrangement, but it's only with the Rabbanim because it's part of a sort of a buy and sell type of deal. It's a part of a transaction. Hamar beperis. So he increases, which means to say he will profit off some sort of transaction involving peiros. Again, peiros doesn't always mean fruit. It means, any sort of produce, grain, etc. Ketzah, for instance, like this. Reuben approaches Shimon, the grain dealer, gives him a dinar zahav, a golden coin, which is 25 silvers, and he buys a kur offer, a kur of wheat. And actually, that was a perfect, fair deal. That was the going rate. And although, and Rashi points this out, although he wasn't getting delivery of the chitim right now, but still okay, because once the market has an established rate, then you can just sort of make a contract. Here, take this money, and you supply me for the rest of the year, irrespective of what the rate happens to be then, because I sort of purchased delivery rights to this amount right now by giving you this money. Okay, turns out later on, the chitam went up in price. A kur is no longer 25 silver dinar; it's now up to 30, which is great for Reuben, who bought the chitim, at the early rate. So now Reuben approaches Shimon. Great, I'm making some money. I'd like to have my chitin back. I don't need necessarily my wheat, but I want to take them and buy with them wine for 30, because now the same amount that I paid 25 for is now worth 30. I want to buy 30 coins of wine, right? 30 dinar worth of wine. So Shimon says, you know what? I'll make a deal. Why give you the chitim and you have to go run and get the wine? Let's make a quick transfer. You know what? Instead of giving you chitim, which are worth 30, I will sort of accept it upon myself. I'm committing to give you, I'm sort of buying back the chitim for 30 and transferring that credit to wine. So there you go. Quick deal, without having to deliver and, right? And going forward, I'm now committed to giving you 30 dinar worth of wine. So we made a quick swap. Problem is, Shimon doesn't actually have a stock of wine. So it's all sort of abstract on paper. He can't do that, because ultimately if the wine will go up in price afterwards, so he's going to be giving him way more than he paid for. So again, the first step is okay. Here's money, and you're committed to supplying me X amount of chitim. Done deal. But now, to turn that around into wine, which the fellow doesn't even have in stock, so it's all intangible, it's abstract. It's just credit for credit for credit. That looks like ribis if ultimately the price of wine will go up and Shimon will actually have to give Reuben back 40 instead of the original 25 that he gave him. So that's a ribis d'Rabbanan. Says the Gemara, "B'deshavek l'ribis d'Oraisa." Become a farish ribis d'Rabbanan. Why did the Mishnah sort of abandon your classic ribis, which involves lending with interest, and sort of shift it to a transactional type of case, which is only ribis d'Rabbanan? Right? What does that tell us? Apparently, Deiraisa, that in the realm of Min HaTorah, the neshech v'tarbis chadamilsahi. So although the Torah does mention neshech and tarbis, it's really all one and the same. Otherwise, the Mishnah would have, depicted how tarbis Deiraisa is different than neshech Deiraisa. We couldn't find a way to portray ribis d'Oraisa different than neshech d'Oraisa. We had to go to a transactional type of case, which is only the Rabbanan, to depict ribis, the Rabbanan. Apparently, in the Torah realm, there's no difference between one and the other. Neshech and tarbis are all the same thing. Kadam milsi. It's all about lending with interest. Well, then that triggers a question about kroi ksivi. Neshech kesef ribis oichel. So why then does the Torah split them into two? It mentions don't lend with neshech and don't get involved with ribis on food. I mean, if it's all the same thing, why does the Torah sort of split into two? So actually, the Gemara later will tell us to give you two lavin. That any time a person violates ribis, he has violated two lavin, neshech and tarbis. But we'll get to that in a minute. At this point, we're still not sure. It says more b'tizbro. So what do you mean to say? The neshach b'lei tarbis, v'tarbis b'lei neshach? Are you suggesting that there is a concept of neshach which involves the borrower being bitten, so to speak, meaning being forced to pay more than he got, b'lei tarbis, without the lender actually profiting? And that's what the Torah means when it says neshach? Or in the reverse, v'tarbis b'lei neshach? Or when the Torah speaks about tarbis, means to describe a case where the lender is gaining, is profiting, without the borrower losing? So he gets the tarbis without the neshach aspect? Do you mean to say that's possible? Is that what you're suggesting? And that's why the Torah split into two? That's impossible. They always come together. If he's losing, then I'm gaining. If I'm gaining, then he's losing. That's the way it works. Neshach b'lei tarbis echetam. How could you even suggest that there is a neshach without tarbis? That he's losing, but I'm not really gaining. So let's say, for instance, Reuven lent Shimon 100 pennies, 100 prutes, copper prutes, on condition that he repays him 120. Now, initially when he lent him the money, on Sunday, you can buy a danka, a silver ma'ah, which apparently is a benchmark in terms of value, because as we learned in Perek HaZav, typically they would use silver coins. That was sort of the, primary, vehicle for transactions. It was the more common currency, right? So that's going to be our sort of benchmark. So on Sunday when he lent him the 100 coppers, kaimi mea bedanka, it would take 100 coppers to buy a silver coin. And on Tuesday when he wants to repay him the 120 coppers, a danka now went up in price. You need 120 coppers for the silver coin. So this is a case where neshach ika, on the one hand, Shimon is paying more than he borrowed. He's repaying 120 for 100, so that's neshach. The konachesle, because he's biting off of him, so to speak. The koshalka mine midi, he's taking from Shimon something which he didn't give him, right? Take an extra 20. But v'tarbis leka. But you can suggest that tarbis doesn't apply because the leslie rafcha. Ultimately, Reuven hasn't really gained anything in terms of his ability to buy silver, which apparently is what sets the mark. The danko is when he lent him the 100 on Sunday, 100 could buy a silver coin, and on Tuesday when he gets back 120, it still gets him the same silver coin. He hasn't really gained anything. So here we have neshach without tarbis. No, says the Gemara, save. At the end of the day, you can't split the two. So it's either you look at Sunday completely or at Tuesday completely. If you look at the initial stage, which was Sunday, Hari Neshach, Hari Tarbis. So in terms of Sunday's value, committing to give back 120 is Neshach, because he's committing to give more than the 100 that he took. But Tarbis, and going back to Sunday, 120 can get you more than a silver coin. So if you look at Sunday's value, there was Neshach and Tarbis. On the other hand, if you look at Tuesday's value, then there's no neshach or tarbis. Where the silver would cost you 120, so loy neshach ika, loy tarbis ika. There's no neshach element or tarbis, because fair is fair. Look, I lent you something which can buy me a silver coin, and now give me back something which can garner me a silver coin. So just because you give me back 120, you haven't really lost anything. It's fair because I need the silver. That's the benchmark. So you haven't really paid out more than you should, and I haven't really gotten more than I deserve. That's one point. Now let's explore the other case. Can there be tarbis benefit on the lender's side without a loss on the borrower's side? How could you have that? So basically we're going to switch around the case. We're going to reverse it. Are we speaking that on Sunday he lent him 100 coppers to get 100 in return? Now, on Sunday when he lent it to him, the 100 coppers would get you a silver coin. On Tuesday when he returned the 100, silver went down in price. With 100 coppers you can buy a fifth of a dinar. So basically a dinar is 6 silvers. Right? So now instead of 100 coppers getting you just one ma'ah, which is 1/6 of a dinar, it's getting you a fifth of a dinar, which is a bit more than a ma of silver. So you're getting more for your money now. So perhaps this is a case where there's tarbis because the lender is now gaining. He's getting more than he gave, but the borrower is not losing because he borrowed 100, giving back 100. Well, it says more the same thing. Ibas and mikor, you can't slice it both ways. Ibas and mikor azos, if you focus on Sunday, loy neshech ika, loy tarbis ika. There's no neshech or tarbis. Because the fact is, he gave him 100 coppers, and he got back 100 coppers. Ibas seif azlas, if you look at today's rate, har neshech har tarbis. Both violations have occurred. He's getting more than he gave, he's getting more silver, and the fellow is paying for more silver. Right? So if you look at Sunday's rate, fair deal. I gave you 100, which was worth of silver, and that's what you're giving me back. If you look at Tuesday, so you're off on both ends. He's getting more than he gave, and the fellow's paying more than he got in terms of the silver value. So you can't split the two. Ella Marava, you're right. Neshech and tarbis go hand in hand. Minater, there's no difference. You can't have one without the other. Neshech doesn't work without tarbis. Tarbis doesn't work without neshech. If you're gaining, then he's losing. If he's losing, you're gaining. The only reason why the Torah split them and mentioned them separately is to give you a double violation for doing any ribis violation. Ella, lav or alav. A person lends with interest, he violated bishnei lav and both lav, and one is neshech, one is tarbis. Okay, so in summary, we had a whole sugya about maintaining integrity and honesty in business in terms of the type of products, in terms of the quality of the products, in terms of dealing fairly in the marketplace, in terms of keeping away from neshech v'tarbis. All the best to you and aslach rabba.